Things began to turn around immediately upon Reagan's election. Inauguration Day, 2 weeks before his 70th birthday, the Iranians released the American hostages who had been held for the past 444 days. Then, the domestic agenda went into full swing, even as Reagan began the process of reinvigorating and arming the United States military. He dramatically increased military spending in order to safeguard America against the Soviet threat. He also proposed a massive tax cut across the board to stimulate the sagging, repressed economy. Then, just 2 months into his first term, on March 30th, 1981, coming out of a Washington, D.C. hotel,
President Reagan!
a fledgling 24-hour news channel named CNN went on the air with the news just minutes after it happened. Bernard Shaw erroneously reported the president's condition.
I should pass this on to you, Bob Berkowitz. Police officers and Secret Service agents tackled the assailant and pushed him to the ground as the motorcade sped away. The White House says Mr. Reagan was not hit by any of the shots. There were approximately 4 shots fired, each retort sounding like a firecracker as it exploded from the gun. It appeared as if the shots were fired from some sort of pistol at close range, possibly as little as 10 feet from the chief executive, from President Reagan. There are unconfirmed reports that the slug struck up to 2 or 3 bystanders. So we know that a Secret Service agent was hit. We know that Jim Brady, the president's press secretary, was hit. And we know that a policeman also was hit.
What had actually transpired was, as shots rang out, Secret Service Special Agent in charge, Jerry Parr, pushed the president into the waiting limo. Once inside, as they sped away and caught their breath, Parr asked the president, "Were you hit?" Reagan responded, "No, I don't think so. I think you hurt my chest when you landed on top of me." Parr quickly gave Reagan the once-over, patting him down, and found nothing out of the ordinary. He radioed that the president was okay and they were on their way to the White House. But as they drove, Agent Parr noticed that Reagan seemed to be in pain. "I think you hurt my rib," Reagan said. "I'm having trouble breathing." "Is it your heart?" Parr asked. "I don't think so," Reagan replied. As they sped down Connecticut Avenue, Parr weighed the available options. Something was wrong, but was it bad enough to go to the hospital? Not knowing the full scale of what this attempt on the president's life was, if they went to the hospital and this was part of a coordinated attack, conspirators could be waiting for them there. The White House was safer. But if something was seriously wrong, taking him to the White House would be a terrible mistake. As he considered the options, Parr noticed Reagan wiping blood from his mouth with his handkerchief. And there was a lot of it. Reagan thought he had cut his lip, but the blood was oxygenated, which meant it probably was coming from his lungs. "Get us to Washington University Hospital as fast as you can," he told the driver. By the time they reached the hospital, some of the president's motorcade had caught up with them. There was no stretcher waiting, so Reagan, badly wounded, insisted on walking in on his own. Once inside, he couldn't breathe and collapsed to one knee. The agents quickly got him to an emergency room where shock doctors began working on the President of the United States. When they cut off his custom-made suit, they finally found the bullet wound, and that the President of the United States had indeed been shot in the chest, with a bullet lodged 1 inch from his heart.
The shot that got me caromed off the side of the limousine and hit me while I was diving into the car. And it hit me back here under the arm and then hit a rib. And that's what caused an extreme pain. And then it turned instead of edgewise and went tumbling down to within an inch of my heart. But when I got in the car, I hadn't felt anything. He landed on top of me, and then the pain, which now I know came from the bullet hitting that rib, that terrific pain. And I said, "Jerry, get off. I think you've broken a rib of mine." And he got off very quickly. And just then I coughed. And I had a handful of bright red, frothy blood. So I said, and I guess evidently the broken rib has pierced the lung. Well, he simply turned and said George Washington Hospital, and we were on our way.
His blood pressure was dangerously low by now. It was clear to the attending emergency room physician that he had gone into shock.
He was wounded.
After stabilizing him, they got him to surgery. Before going under, Reagan famously joked, "I hope you're all Republicans," and the room erupted in laughter. The 6 shots fired before John Hinckley was subdued severely wounded Press Secretary James Brady, Secret Service agent Tim McCarthy, and D.C. police officer Thomas Delaney. All of them survived their wounds. President Reagan recovered quickly and got back to work, leading the nation out of the late 1970s malaise. As the president healed, he led America through the turbulent 80s, the Cold War, challenging the leader of the Soviet Union to tear down the Berlin Wall, economic prosperity, Iran-Contra, mourning in America, and eventually, the fall of the Soviet Union.